Religious disputes are complex phenomena that extend far beyond simple disagreements over theological doctrines or spiritual practices. They often intertwine deeply with issues of identity, land, resources, political power, and historical grievances, creating multifaceted conflicts that can span generations. When religion becomes fused with these secular concerns, it can act as a powerful mobilizer, providing a divine mandate for worldly ambitions or a sacred justification for actions taken in pursuit of them. Understanding these disputes requires looking beyond the surface of religious rhetoric to uncover the intricate web of social, economic, and political factors that fuel the flames of conflict. It is rarely religion in isolation that causes strife, but rather its potent combination with other human aspirations and fears. These conflicts are not monolithic. They manifest in diverse ways across different cultures and historical contexts. Some disputes may involve direct clashes between adherents of different faiths, while others might see internal struggles within a single religious tradition over interpretation or leadership. Often what appears to be a religious conflict is, at its core, a struggle for self-determination, national identity, or control over territory deemed sacred or historically significant by competing groups. The Israel-Palestine conflict stands as one of the world's most protracted and deeply entrenched religious disputes, though its roots are equally, if not more so, political and territorial. The land, considered holy by Jews, Christians, and Muslims, has become the focal point of competing national aspirations and historical narratives. For Jews, it represents the ancestral homeland, a place of biblical promise, and a refuge after centuries of diaspora and persecution, culminating in the Holocaust. For Palestinians, it is their native land, where their ancestors lived for generations, and the displacement experienced since the creation of Israel in 1948, known as the Nakba or catastrophe, is a central element of their collective identity and ongoing struggle for statehood. Key historical events have repeatedly inflamed tensions and shaped the current devastating reality. The Balfour Declaration of 1917, British Mandate policies, the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, the 1967 Six-Day War, leading to Israel's occupation of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and subsequent peace initiatives that ultimately faltered, have all contributed layers of complexity and mistrust. The religious significance of sites like Jerusalem's Temple Mount or Haram al-Sharif adds an intensely emotional and symbolic dimension, making any perceived encroachment or change to the status quo a potential flashpoint for wider violence. The Israeli assault on Gaza following the October 7th attacks has inflicted a catastrophic human toll, fundamentally altering the landscape and lives of its inhabitants. According to local authorities, the campaign has led to upwards of 45,000 Palestinian deaths by early 2025, with a significant portion, at least a third, being children. Thousands more remain missing, presumed buried under the rubble of destroyed buildings, and the vast majority of Gaza's infrastructure, including homes, hospitals, and schools, lies damaged or completely obliterated. This widespread destruction has created an unparalleled humanitarian crisis, with most of the population displaced and facing severe shortages of food, water, and medical supplies, pushing the territory to the brink of famine. Simultaneously, Israel has been actively reshaping Gaza's geography. The Syrian landscape underwent a dramatic shift in late 2023 with the unexpected collapse of Bashar al-Assad's long-standing dictatorship. This pivotal moment was precipitated by a swift military advance led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, a group with historical ties to al-Qaeda, though it has since sought to rebrand itself. Starting from their stronghold in Idlib, HTS forces captured Aleppo on November 27th, and in a stunning turn of events, entered Damascus on December 8th, leading to the disintegration of the Assad regime. The leader of HTS, Ahmed al-Sharaa, formerly known as Abu Muhammad al-Jalani, effectively became the de facto power holder in the country, ushering in a new era of uncertainty. While HTS has made efforts to project a more moderate image, including improving protections for Christian and Druze communities in Idlib, and publicly pledging to safeguard minorities across Syria, significant anxieties persist. Many Syrians, particularly Alawites who are often seen as the bedrock of Assad's support, along with other minority groups, secular Sunnis and women, harbor deep fears of potential Islamist edicts and the imposition of a sectarian order. Section 5. Myanmar's Rohingya, a persecuted minority in a nation divided. The Rohingya, a predominantly Muslim ethnic minority in Myanmar's Rakhine state, have faced decades of systematic discrimination, statelessness, and brutal persecution. This culminated in a horrific military crackdown in 2017, which the United Nations described as a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. These operations forced approximately 750,000 Rohingya to flee their homes, seeking refuge in squalid, overcrowded camps in neighboring Bangladesh. This mass exodus added to the already significant Rohingya diaspora, leaving behind a shattered community and a landscape scarred by violence. Their plight is a stark illustration of how religious and ethnic differences can be exploited to deny basic human rights and citizenship. The situation in Myanmar has further deteriorated following the military coup in February 2021, which ousted the democratically elected government and plunged the country into a widespread civil war. Section 6. Sudan's civil strife, power struggles, and ideological undercurrents. The ongoing war in Sudan, which erupted in April 2023, primarily pits the Sudanese armed forces against the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. This devastating conflict has its roots in a fraught political transition following the ousting of longtime dictator Omar al-Bashir, with both military factions vying for ultimate control of the state. The fighting has led to tens of thousands of deaths, the displacement of millions of Sudanese civilians both internally and into neighboring countries, and a humanitarian catastrophe of epic proportions, including widespread hunger and the collapse of essential services across vast swaths of the nation. An important, though sometimes overlooked dimension of this conflict is the involvement of Islamist elements, particularly on the side of the Sudanese army. Section 7. The global rise of religious nationalism, identity, and politics. Religious nationalism, a potent ideology that fuses religious identity with national identity, has been visibly on the rise in various parts of the world, reshaping political landscapes and societal dynamics. This phenomenon typically involves the belief that the historically predominant religion of a country is essential to its national character, that political leaders should adhere to this faith, and that religious texts or laws should significantly influence or even supersede secular legislation. It often prioritizes the cultural and political dominance of one religious group, potentially at the expense of minority rights and pluralism, creating an environment where religious affiliation becomes a key marker of belonging and loyalty to the nation. A prominent example of this trend can be seen in India, where the opening of a massive Hindu temple in Ayodhya in January 2024 symbolized a significant moment for Hindu nationalists. The temple was constructed on the site of a 16th-century mosque, the Babri Masjid, which was demolished by Hindu activists in 1992, an event that triggered widespread communal violence. Section 8. Iran's regional role, the axis of resistance and evolving dynamics. Iran projects influence through the axis of resistance, including Hezbollah in Lebanon, militias in Iraq and Syria, the Houthis in Yemen, and Palestinian factions like Hamas in Gaza. These groups oppose Israel and Western influence. Tehran supports them to extend its strategic depth. Recent events have delivered setbacks to Iran. The fall of Assad's regime in Syria was a major blow. Israel's attacks on Hezbollah in 2024 degraded its capabilities. The assassination of Hamas leader Haniyeh in Tehran added pressure. Section 9. Conclusion. Navigating a world shaped by religious tensions. The religious disputes explored, from the deeply entrenched Israel-Palestine conflict to the evolving situations in Syria, Myanmar, and Sudan, paint a sobering picture of our contemporary world. These conflicts, while diverse in their specific historical and socio-political contexts, share a common thread: the potent and often perilous intersection of faith, identity, and power. They demonstrate that religious belief, while a source of comfort and moral guidance for billions, can also be manipulated or fused with nationalistic or extremist ideologies to fuel division, justify violence, and impede the path to peaceful coexistence. The human cost is invariably immense, measured in lives lost, communities shattered, and generations scarred by trauma. The rise of religious nationalism globally further complicates this landscape. As seen in various nations, the drive to define national identity in exclusively religious terms can marginalize minorities, erode democratic norms, and create fertile ground for intolerance and discrimination.